Hello, I'm Dolly Curtis, and it's with real pleasure today that I have a chance to spend some time with Lisa and Charlie Daugherty, who are old artist friends of mine, and in fact, they are endeared to many people in Fairfield County for all the wonderful years of art they have shared with us at all the exhibitions and all kinds of gallery shows. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Dolly.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Dolly.
Now, you two people have just done so very much for the art community, and it's been a lot of it behind the scenes, only I'm going to let the cat out of the bag and tell everyone.
Not too far.
Well, I know that I've often seen Charlie installing work at exhibitions, and Lisa, you helping along, and besides being one of the true artist couples that we have, you're both individually very finely known, recognized artists, both of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad to hear it.
And I truly, truly mean it. I have enjoyed over the years seeing your work, and it's going to be fun today, folks, that we're going to have a chance to take a look at Charlie's studio and Lisa's studio right here now. So I'm almost thinking we should do it, get right to it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Where do we start?
Let's start by looking at Charlie's work, all right? You first. Charlie, this is such a beautiful space. I feel so good in here. The light is so beautiful.
Well, it is a beautiful light. It's a wonderful light to work by. This is an old barn, and it was my father's studio from way back in the 20s when he first bought this place. And there's a lot of art been produced in it.
Oh, so it's the energy I'm feeling right now.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. He did big murals, and I've done murals in it. I did some murals for the Western Town Hall.
Right, you have.
And I continue to paint in it, and the place is just, it's full of the spirit of art.
Oh, I feel
and the
it.
energy of art.
And the color, all these colorful paintings of yours.
Well, color is very important to me. And when I get in trouble with a painting, it's color that gets me out.
Really?
Yeah, and by color I mean bringing colors, juxtaposing colors and bringing them to their full intensity. I'm kind of a drunk on color. I have to have a lot of it, It makes me high.
Nice, I like it. Does it?
Yeah.
Getting high on color.
Right.
Good title for a book, huh?
As a matter of fact, I just lately I'm trying to restrain myself a little bit too, because you can get too obsessed with one thing, and too much of one thing is sometimes not good. And color sometimes is its richness, it's most rich. When it isn't, when it's juxtaposed with more subtle colors and softer colors, the bright colors come out. I love the bright colors. But the more you juxtapose them with neutral colors and softer colors. The wonderful example of that is Matisse. Everybody's talking about Matisse now.
Right.
And Matisse has the most wonderful knowledge of black. And if you notice, all his paintings, most of his paintings, have big areas of black, or even if they're small areas of black. And they make the brilliant colors.
More brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, you've worked in abstract ways for many years, and now you're working in a more representational way.
Yeah. I think a lot of artists are happy to work in the abstract all the time, and I think you can fully fulfill your vision as a painter working in the abstract. But the literary part of my mind every now and then yearns for representational painting and for the human figure and for what people do, capturing something of what people do and think in your canvas. And I just get an itch to get back to the human side. So I began to paint some paintings that reflected my feelings about television, because we're all hooked on television, and everybody now spends most of their time looking at television.
Except me.
Good.
I don't have enough.
And except me.
Okay, two of us then.
But anyhow.
You're right, though. People spend a lot of time.
And I've got nothing against television as a wonderful medium. It's a wonderful medium for education, a wonderful medium for entertainment. I'm just horrified with the junk that comes over it. You know, I just can't look at the news anymore because it concentrates on nothing but crime and violence.
You're not alone, Charlie. I feel the same way.
And then the ads that come in between are full of suggestions that we're all dying of some kind of disease or other.
And it's the noise level, too.
Yeah.
And everything's so mean.
Right.
And you're such a thoughtful person and gentle.
Well, anyhow, I began to do some paintings that had something to do with how I felt about television. And I think that I've succeeded to a certain extent. The problem is, for me, is that to make the painting not just an illustration, but to do the literal representation of the subject, but keep it a painting too, if you know what I mean.
Can you show me a few of these so I can get a better understanding?
Yeah, I certainly can. Let's start off here. Here's an abstract.
Okay.
That stands on its feet, if it stands at all, because of color, of just exuberance of color.
Beautiful color.
And certain balances and rhythms.
Rhythms.
And so it's a complete painting as far as I'm concerned. So that's an abstract. Now here's one of the TV paintings. As you can see, it's concerned with the two principal themes of television: love and violence.
That's it. Love and violence.
And here it is, happening simultaneously. One is TV image and one is real, or vice versa. And of course, there's always the story about the man who marries a sweetheart and the sweetheart who marries the husband, and so forth and so on. So this has inspired me, if you can use such a word, to this comment.
So you're still using the very brilliant color, though.
Well,
it's brilliant
yes,
color, but
yes. I'm trying to think of the theme that I'm illustrating, but I really, once the painting is underway, I'm really thinking about a painting. And when I think about a painting, regardless of what the subject matter is, I think of form and space and shapes and color. So
you're thinking composition as well as just a theme.
Yeah. I was thinking the sort of geometric structure it has, and I was thinking of juxtaposing these colors to bring out their brilliance. And I was thinking of pattern to a certain extent, because pattern sort of establishes the presence of a surface, especially when you're working sort of flat.
It's not too different, actually, in a way, Charles, these shapes compared to the abstract. I mean, I feel all the abstraction in here, too, as well.
Exactly. And, you know, all paintings are abstracts when it comes down to it. I mean, the structure of any painting, the structure of a Giotto is an abstract. You can turn a Giotto upside down and still see a great painting. So you're always painting abstract in a way, but here you are working both representationally with a literal idea and maybe a social comment, and at the same time trying to make a painting of it, not just an illustration. I think there you hit the difference between a painting and an illustration.
Okay, show me another one.
All right.
I'm trying to learn as you go. You're giving me an education, Charlie.
Well, I'm trying to get one too, so.
We're both on the same.
Talking about it helps me educate myself as we go along too. I think this was the first of the TV paintings I did, and this one's not about violence. It's about the TV salesperson alluring her victim.
All right.
So you know, let's see, I call this Stay Tuned.
Stay tuned.
And she started reaching out and touching him, which is what TV advertising is about, reaching out and touching.
Now, all television is sort of hypnotic or something.
Well, it's very hypnotic.
People just sort of become in a different state when they're watching. They're relaxed, for one thing, which is good, but they're almost not in the room with you if you're...
Well, that's the horror of it, because they're so completely open and receptive to all this
So it's like
trash.
unconscious level. They're
And I'm not,
subliminally being shown all these images, and they think that they're not, or they're absorbing these horrific
Right,
negatives.
Exactly. And I do want to say that I'm not trashing TV.
No, we understand. We're
Yeah,
not.
because it's a wonderful medium, and it's with us to stay, and it's with us to be more and more.
Be exciting in the
But
future.
the wonderful things it can do, every now and then we see a wonderful program that really is meaningful, and I'm not trashing those.
Okay, we forgive you as television people, but I know what it is that you're expressing.
But I'm really horrified by the fact that you can hardly turn the TV on
Right.
within the first few minutes, getting somebody pointing a
Right,
gun and
right, exactly. We're soulmates, Charlie. I feel exactly the same way.
So here we have.
Okay, can I help you?
Thanks. So here we have
It's wonderful. Terrible. It's terrible and wonderful.
the violence TV violence entering the living room and helping the family disintegrate.
Right, and here we are, everyone's eating dinner or just finished dinner, and they sit down, this precious time they spend together with this is in the background.
Yeah, and of course it's exaggerated, and as a painting it's quite crude, I think. But there again, I did try to do sort of exciting things with color. It's in no way realistic, actually. It's representational because it represents the idea that I want to express, but at the same time, it's very unnatural, and it doesn't try to capture the eerie light that comes from TV and fills a room. I work with colors.
Oh, it's light and color, and television has noise, and it's all your senses are being caught up. Can you stop for a minute and tell me,
Yeah.
share with me a little bit about how it was to grow up in a family, in a household where you have this space where your father was so well-recognized painter. What type of painter was he?
Well, my father was a 100% artist.
Oh, and you're not? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Not really, because he did so many things. I mean, he always made his living as an artist. He never even resorted to teaching. He started out as a mural painter, and did some illustration, did a lot of big murals. And very early on, when modernism first reached this country at the time of the Armory Show in 1913, he was always very hooked on new ideas.
But what type of painter? You told me he had a certain, what type of painter was he?
Okay, I'm getting to that because one of the early movements of modernism was called synchronism, and it means with color. And it was an offshoot of some of the ideas in Paris that were being explored.
So what was it like for
by
you
the
to live in a
moderns.
home where...
I must admit that a kid in an atmosphere like that, I think, benefits a lot from it, but is also oblivious to it.
To it.
I mean, I never really fully realized the stature of my father until after he died. And I remember reading something by Anne Morrow Lindbergh in which she said, after her husband died, she said, it's like when you fall a great tree, all of us, it was a tree, a living tree that you lived with, and all of a sudden there it is, and you can see the whole thing from the roots to the top, lying there and examining it and so forth and so on. It's that kind of thing. So I not only learned a lot from my father as I matured, but I still do from his work and from the things that I was so indifferent to when he was alive and I was living under his shadow.
Well, you must have learned a great deal because your work is magnificent, colorful, beautiful, and thoughtful. And it's just a joy to come here, really, and stay in this space and just, listen to you
Well, thank
talk
you.
about what it is that you express. I want to go take a look at Lisa's work.
Yes.
It's so very different. I want to be able to share it with the audience. Both of you are so individual in your art.
Well, you should, of course, and Lisa's work is important too. And we're different, but we share a lot too.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I think both of us picked up a lot on color from my father. I think Lisa got some direction from my father too. And we look at each other's work as we develop it, and I think we can criticize each other very constructively.
Well, you certainly are an unusual and exciting artist couple that we're so appreciative to that we have living right here with us in Fairfield County.
Well, thank you, Dolly. You make me feel very good.
Well, I feel that way.
You make me feel it's all worthwhile.
It is worthwhile. So if you excuse me, I'm going to just go take a look at what Lisa's up to.
Good. I'm glad you are.
Okay. Now we're in the studio of Lisa Lindsay Daugherty. And what is it that you're up to these days, Lisa?
Right now, well, I work with transparent metals generally, and that sounds impossible, but it isn't, because I use pierced metals, expanded metals, and woven metals. And right now I've been using screening, painted.
So that's what these soft but hard sculptures are that are all around here?
Yes, and the air and the light goes through them, and they don't stop anything. Your vision goes on, God's air goes through, and the breeze and the sun, and they move. Some of them. This
some of
one
them.
doesn't move,
Mhm.
but
Some of them?
some of them do move with the breeze. Yes.
And they're very feminine in feeling, and yet the materials they're made up of, Lisa, actually like gutter wiring or something, right?
Well,
gutter screening?
sometimes. I don't use that. It's a little mushy, but I do use expanded metal that's used as a plaster lath. I use a lot of building materials. I think they're beautiful.
See, but what I mean is what I see is this contrast of these building materials that are so masculine and coarse, and you make them into these feminine and very flowing, waving sculptures.
Well, they're somewhat like lace,
Like lace.
which is a feminine thing. So the masculine and the feminine work together, like yin and yang, or whatever they
Right.
call it.
Over the years, though, I've seen so many different things. You've worked with so many different media, haven't you?
Well, I first started working with cast polyester resin, and I still have some of that here in my studio. I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
But it's toxic. And I woke up one morning with the absolute feeling that I couldn't do that anymore and had to stop.
That was the plexiglass boxes with those wonderful balls that were inside? I
those are
remember that.
cast.
Oh, I see them.
And they change color 3 different times. As you walk across in front of them, the colors change from blue to red to purple or whatever I've used it for.
And what about these wonderful pieces of body jewelry that you always
Body
been-
sculpture,
Body
I call
sculpture?
it. Yeah, it's so big, you can think of it as sculpture, and yet it hangs on you very nicely. And I've used those over the period of making those. I had people dancing. And
I know that you've always been connected to dance. And let me
Yes.
ask you this question. It's a little personal, but have you had training as an actress? Because you carry yourself so beautifully.
Yes, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Art.
Oh, as a younger person, and so you were going in that direction.
Yes, I was. But I soon realized that wasn't for me because I didn't like to be told what to do. And there's somebody there bossing you around they call a director.
Okay.
If I had known that I could have been a director, it might have been different. But I felt that I was being shifted into the actress end, and I just didn't, I didn't fit there.
Well, you have so many
was the right-
capabilities. So have you done any dancing? Because the way you
Yes.
walk, it just seems as if you've been trained as a dancer.
I have been trained as a dancer, but not until it was too late in life to perform. I did it for
But
fun.
it shows through in all your work, so it wasn't too late, so to speak.
It's nothing, no bit of training like that is ever lost. You never lose any of the training that you get. It just all comes out in some other way, but it's there, and you have access to it when you need it.
You have done some artwork in combination with dance, haven't you? With a
Yes.
dance group here in Weston?
Yes, the Young People's Creative Dance Theater. I work with them a lot.
That's what I thought. And also, recently, haven't you been doing something to bring art forward to the people in Weston? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Charles and I are interested in the Cultural Events Committee in Weston, and right now he's the chairman. I've been doing the art shows in the corridor, and we just recently had a very fine one. It was reviewed in the New York Times.
Really? Well,
Yes, so
wonderful.
we're
Is this a
very
town
pleased with
hall?
that.
Town hall
Yes,
building?
And we also do a dance festival there, and I was active in that.
Well, you two are always up to something, as I say, bringing the art world right up to date. But my
Well, you have
favorite thing, I think, Lisa, is the silk paintings.
The paintings on silk?
Yes. Because you know how I love fabric. I
Yes.
just love them. They're so beautiful and airy and soft and colorful. And again, there's that brilliant color. You using
it
that
is.
brilliant color.
Yes, I love color. I always have.
So I know on occasion you'll display those. And do you have work right now displaying it? You often display work at Silvermine, don't you?
Oh, yes, I have a piece at Silvermine now. There's a piece over there now that is called Pillar of Fire, and it looks like a huge flame. It starts at the ground, goes up 13 feet into
Wow.
the sky, and it moves. The breeze
and is
moves
it of this new...
It's screening.
Screening.
Just regular window screening, only it's brilliant red-orange. So
you are some gal. You can
well,
take
thanks.
things, you take things, all different kinds of materials, and you totally change them in their finished form as it becomes sculpture.
Well, actually, it seems to me that any work of art is a prayer. You just haven't made something, you haven't done a product, you've prayed. You take what you have, even if it's almost nothing, and make something out of it because you want to improve that small part of your world. And you know perfectly well you're not creating it yourself. You have help, and it just sort of grows.
From inside of you,
Yes,
it comes
well,
out.
and yes. And so what it is a search for perfection. It's really a prayer, because that's what a search for perfection is. So art is prayer.
Art is prayer, unless you're making something beautiful. And
Well, more than that, I hope.
I see. And it's an expression, but it's a prayerful expression. I do
It's
know
sort
what
of a
you
spiritual-
mean. Spiritual.
Act. If you can say something is a spiritual act, it's a yearning and a groping for transcendence over material
Right,
life.
I do understand what you mean.
Yes, I knew you would.
I do. You know the fans that you did that I just love
Yes.
so? And are they all owned by people by now, I bet? All these wonderful
No, I'm
fans.
sure they aren't all gone, but a lot of them are.
And you've painted flowers on the fans, and you always show them open, completely open. They're really very enchanting.
Yes, and the dance group did a beautiful dance with that, too, at the Discovery Museum a while ago. Each
How
girl had a
wonderful.
fan, and they danced with them. I think there were about 12 girls, 12 fans. It looks beautiful, really.
I imagine. I think you're such a beautiful lady. I have often told you that. I should tell the
Thank
audience
you.
that on some occasions I've had Lisa she just looks so wonderful. I've had you stand still so I could photograph you just in your wonderful outfits, and
Well, we've been friends for a long time,
we
Dolly.
have been. And
Yeah.
your jewelry, and you often wear some of the things you make.
Yes, I haven't got anything on right now, but I'm in my studio
Yeah,
now.
I
you
see. But some of those things are quite exquisite, and you in them, I mean, it's just exquisite.
Oh, thank you. You
Made your
too
day.
good.
Well, I just mean it, and it's been a pleasure, Lisa, being able to know you and see your work over all these years, and I just hope today we can give some of that to the audience, the feeling of some of these wonderful art areas that you've touched on over the last 25 years that I've been lucky enough to know you.
Has it been that long?
think it has.
Oh my, I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
25
really?
years. I don't keep much track of time. So I didn't know it had been 25
But it
years
could
since we
be.
met. Maybe, except I don't think I've been out here that long.
Well, I know it's been many years that I've been watching you
A while,
change
anyhow.
and develop your work and work.
20 maybe, but
Okay,
not 25, because
20.
I'm sure that 25 years ago I was still living in New York.
And then a New York girl come to Connecticut and do so much for the art community here.
Well, we've enjoyed it, you know. It's just part of your life. It's not that you're deliberately doing something.
Right, it is
It's
your
something
life.
there needs to be done, and somebody asks you to do it. Somehow or the other, it extends itself a little farther than you expected. Like we were asked to do one art show by the first selectman, and that was 3 years ago, and we're still doing them up there at the town hall.
Lisa, tell me about this piece which is behind us.
This piece here is called Boanerges. That's an Aramaic word which means sons of thunder. Jesus gave that name to his disciples, James and John, and this piece is dedicated to my brothers, James and John.
That's very beautiful.
And it's made of expanded metal, welded steel, and screening. And perforated metal, too, perforated aluminum, actually. These pieces here, I have 4 of these. They're made of bronze screening and also the expanded metal on the back of them. This is called Fascinating Rhythm. That is called Leda, Remembering Reuben, in memory of Reuben Nakian, a great sculptor.
Wonderful man.
The small one over there in the corner is called Satin Doll. It's a quote from an old song called The Music Goes Round and Round, and the name of it is actually The Jazz Comes Out Here. This is one of the fans that Dolly was talking about earlier. This is the larger one. I have a smaller size too, but they're all put away up in the loft. This is a set of puppet heads that I made quite some time ago. These are cast polyester resin, and they're characters from the Commedia dell'arte. You have Columbine and Pierrot, Harlequin, Il Dottore, and El Capitano. I used to have a Commedia dell'arte theater for about 8 years in New York. We traveled around from one place to another. This is called Poppies and Peppers. This painting over here, I just finished that this year. It's a new one and still sitting there on the drawing board. This is Jubilee. It's got black light and white light in it. It was run over by a truck. It was originally another piece, a smaller piece and less complicated, and I had it on top of my car one day and it fell off and a truck ran over it. So I had to bring it home and make it over. I was so annoyed with myself, but I decided to be better than ever, and I think it is. The piece in the corner is called A Shrine for Meditation. It's made of expanded metals, screening, and cast polyester resin and brass. The polyester is the colored screen behind it. That's made of 4 plates of cast polyester resin with different colors on it and a light behind it. This is the only fan that I have framed. I took it off the bamboo support and put it in a shadow box frame. I think it looks very nice that way.
Well, if people want to see some of your work, I know you two are always exhibiting at all different places in Fairfield County, so we'll show you a little bit of it today, but you can see it in person just by paying attention to the art events in our area. Thanks so much for having me today. It is a joyful
Thank you,
experience.
Dolly. Thank you very much.